Donald Trump just dropped a bomb on markets. Interest rates are coming down, and it doesn't seem like Jerome Powell is part of his plans.
Are you already thinking about who your next Fed chair would be? I know it's 2026 when his term expires, so you're already thinking about it.
It's coming out very soon.
Who were you thinking about for that?
I could tell you, but I don't think I'll.
What do you make?
I have a pretty good idea.
Kevin, what do you Warsh, one of those
very highly good.
What do you make of the Ayatollah say?
We all know what's about to happen, right? The U.S. is about to refinance $9.2 trillion worth of its debt at a higher rate than it borrowed at. And this is a problem. How much Bitcoin is Michael Saylor buying?
You obviously are the ultimate hodler. You would buy, if you have money, you buy Bitcoin, I think, don't you? It doesn't matter whether it's up, down, or flat.
150% Bitcoin, Joe.
How much Bitcoin are you buying right now? This isn't the time for lettuce hands. Buckle up. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go. How Finney predicted Bitcoin would be $10 million a coin a week after it launched in 2009. People thought he was crazy, but he saw the lack of accountability in government money printing, and he thought that there had to be a better solution.
Still thought that $10,000 was a pipe dream and never going to happen, right? So I think Hal Finney was just like, a decade ahead of his curve in terms of thinking about, that this could actually happen, right? So I think, because if everybody was 100% convinced that it's going there, it would already be there, right? And so there's got to be doubt about the pace of adoption, how much more money is, what the addressable market actually is. We don't fully know. I mean, I think Hal Finney's estimate is reasonable because still today, even though he made it, is because there is a lot of monetary premium where people are trying to protect themselves from inflation and save by, buying real estate.
People are just trying to protect themselves from inflation, which is exactly what Jerome Powell is trying to do for America with his current policy and high rates. But Jerome Powell isn't going to be leading the charger for much long, is he? And rates aren't going to be that high anymore.
And if we had a good Fed chairman, you would lower rates. And you know what? If inflation happened in a year from now or 2 years, let them raise rates. But we're going out for long-term debt or short-term debt. We have a lot of debt coming due because Biden had all short-term debt, mostly. And we would get a lower rate and a lower interest rate if this guy would lower rates. We get a lower interest rate. It's unbelievable. And he's worried about inflation. If he worries about inflation any longer, all he has to do is get the lower rate, let us go out, borrow at a much lower rate, much lower. You could go down a point or two. We'll go out, borrow them, and if in 2 years inflation comes back, he raises rates. But he keeps them the same. It's insane.
We all know what happens when rates come down. The money printer turns on, and everything seems to be pointed to more economic stimulus later in 2025 and 26. Going back to this oldie but goodie research paper by Sam Callahan and Ledn, you can see that Bitcoin is the most highly correlated asset with the M2 money supply over any 12-month period, which means that as M2 money supply shrinks, well, Bitcoin's price tends to go down. And if its supply increases, well, price goes through the moon. Joe Kernan asked a great question. What would you rather own right now? What would you rather buy?
What are you waiting for at this point in terms of good news? I think the regulatory environment since the election is definitely improved. We've talked about how much harder it gets to mine, and there's halving. When is the next halving, and what are the next moves that it would cause the asset Bitcoin to get to some of these? I don't know whether you have Tom Lee type projections. I think Tom the other day said eventually it could get to 2.5 million per coin or higher before we never really will get to mining the last coin, will we? Not in our lifetime.
Not in our lifetime, but the last 6 months have been tremendous. All of the fundamental planets have aligned. Bitcoin's been acknowledged as the one digital commodity in the world by the administration. The banking regulators have given a green light to bank Bitcoin. The accountants have upgraded the accounting to fair value accounting. There's been a surge of Bitcoin treasury companies. There's like 100 public companies or more that are holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and every single week there's another announcement. I think that, it used to be we're focused on the halvings, but at this point, the entire natural supply of Bitcoin is only 450 Bitcoin available for sale every day. That's sort of about $50 million a day at this level. That is all being consumed by the Bitcoin treasury companies, and the Bitcoin ETFs are coming on strong. So I'm very bullish. My forecast in July of last year in Nashville was Bitcoin's going to appreciate 29% a year on average for the next 21 years. And that moves it was about mid 65,000 to 13 million a coin in the year 2045. I'm getting more bullish on that forecast, but I'm certainly comfortable forecasting 30% a year ARR on average for the next 20 years. I think Bitcoin's up 57% a year for the past 4.5 years. Again, that's double the Mag 7. That's quadruple the S&P. That's 8 times real estate, and bonds are down 4%. So Bitcoin is smashing everything, Joe.
If you knew that Bitcoin was going to go 30% a year for the next decade or 20 years, would you sell it? If you knew that Bitcoin was going to be $13 million a coin or $10 million a coin, like how Finney predicted, would you sell it? The right and obvious answer should be no. One of the ways that you can unlock liquidity from your Bitcoin without selling your Bitcoin and using your Bitcoin to get worthless fiat cuck bucks is by borrowing against your Bitcoin. You would want to use a partner who was trusted, who has a fast and reliable service, and who has over 1,000 5-star customer reviews and has lent out over $9 billion worth of loans since 2018. And that is Ledn, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Don't borrow using credit cards anymore. Borrow from your Bitcoin stack, which is going to be about half the interest rate of a credit card. Rates start at just 12.4%, and you can trust that they have all of the reserves that they say they do, because Ledn is the first digital lender to do a Bitcoin proof of reserves. Get 0.25% off of your next loan by going to learn.ledn.io/simply. The process is fast, simple, transparent, and you can get liquidity in your account in less than 24 hours. Go to learn.ledn.io/simply. If Bitcoin ends up becoming $10 million a coin or $13 million a coin and it grows at 30% a year for the next 10 or 20 years, well, you're going to want to protect it the right way. Get a coach. Don't just go at it alone. Learn how to safely secure your Bitcoin and your private keys and remove it from third-party exchanges. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation with the team at thebitcoinway.com. They'll help you to remove your Bitcoin from exchanges safely, confidently, privately, and securely. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation by going to thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin. One of the things that people were fearful about with Bitcoin before was the government going to ban it? No. The next question, is Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme? No. Is Bitcoin going to zero? No. Especially not after 16 years of running flawlessly and producing a new block every 10 minutes. Is Bitcoin a scam like FTX? No. What about AI and quantum computing? Can we finally put this one to bed too?
If I wanted to hack your Bitcoin, I'd send you an email saying a quantum computer can hack your Bitcoin. Click on the link to upgrade now, and then I'd steal your Bitcoin. It's 10,000 times more likely I'm phishing you than there is a threat. So now I'm not worried about it. Bitcoin's a protocol. The software gets upgraded every year. The hardware is being upgraded continuously, and it's the hardest thing in the universe to hack. They will hack your banking system, your Google account, your Microsoft account, and every other asset you have, much sooner, because they're an order of magnitude weaker.
Okay, great. On Halloween, what color tie do you wear?
Look, we're all orange. It's the orange.
It's always orange. So even on Halloween, it's just an orangey, it's an orangey sky. Yeah. There's
an orange wave coming, and every public company has got to be thinking about Bitcoin on their treasury, because, Bitcoin is digital money. What if Moore's law applies to money and your capital is doubling every 18 months? That's what the Bitcoin treasury companies have concluded.
You've got between 37 trillion and 50 trillion reasons to buy Bitcoin, I think, don't you? You probably come up with 37 trillion and counting.
Look, Bitcoin is the future. Yeah, Bitcoin is the future, and it's the opportunity for everybody.
Bitcoin is the future, and the opportunity is for everyone. I love this clip from Bitcoin OG Bitstein on the Tales from the Crypt podcast, where he's talking about not only the benefits of Bitcoin being a number go up technology, but most importantly, a freedom go up technology.
And the reason why is because with fiat, your time horizon is shortening, so you're always having to chase after more yield. Everyone's yield chasing at all times, and you can never stop. It doesn't matter how rich you get. You still have to keep going forward, or it's all going to go away.
When you're on the fiat hamster wheel, it never stops.
But with Bitcoin, because of the fact that units are not being added, so it's not getting debased, and so you can actually just hold on to money and know that it's part of that percentage of a pie, you can actually rest. You actually have that room to rest. And so there's actually, in some sense, there is a diminishing marginal utility for money. And Bitcoin, I think, helps illustrate that better because of the fact that over the long run, if you just save it, the value of each unit is going to go up. And so, at some point, you actually can theoretically say, this is enough for this moment, for whatever your purposes are. And if that's the case, I would point out, where do we get the chance for leisure? We get the chance for leisure from being able to rest.
Bitcoin is a vehicle to allow us to escape and to finally find rest, which is what we're after. Rest from having to do more, be more, accomplish more. Rest from just keeping up every single day. There's something beautiful about having the ability to choose your yeses and your nos, the freedom of choice. This is the freedom go up technology along with the number go up technology we're investing in. One of the ways that people are securing the network and the freedom go up technology is through Bitcoin mining, the accountants of the Bitcoin network. You can learn about how this all works by going to see the machines, the manufacturers, and the makers of the people underneath of the Bitcoin network itself, down in Dallas, Texas from November 11th through November 13th at the Mining Disrupt Conference. We've got you hooked up here from the Simply Squad. You can get 20% off your ticket by using the promo code SimplyBitcoin at checkout. Thanks for rocking with me today. If you get value from this, please do like, share, subscribe to the channel. And as always, this is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking.